to my channel. I'm Holly, ThatOhoraGirl, here to bring you expert level tips and tricks on Ohora semi-cured gel nail strips. So this is the day you guys have all been waiting for because I have concluded my 5 brand wear test and I'm now gonna go over part 2, which is all of my results from the 1-week tests. So to kind of recap what we did in the test, I wore 5 different Korean brands of semi-cured gel nail strips. The brands were Ohora, Zinipin, GU, and Dashing Diva Glaze. Okay, they're all manufactured in Korea. I wore 2 of each, 1 on each hand, and I mixed them up. I just wore them throughout the week to see how they all performed against each other. We already established that from thinness to thickness, it's, a GU, then Dashing Diva Glaze, then Ohora, then UUUU, then Zinipin is the thickest. So let me tell you. The last week was very interesting and also trying and very challenging. There were times where it was a real test of my willpower and I could not wait to take them off because they were all acting different and I'm a perfectionist about my nails, so to just power through in the name of science was really challenging for me. But I did it for you guys, okay? I did finally take off all the nails last night. I took one for the team, all right? I don't really know if it's easy for me to delineate between ease of application. I mean, they all, I struggled a little bit with UUU, but it was my first time ever trying it. So I think it's a little bit unfair to penalize UUU for that because, I was going in blind, so I didn't really know what to expect. We can talk a little bit about stretch, right? The thinner the sticker, generally speaking, the more stretchy it's going to be. Also, the less protective it's going to be. That was kind of my expectation going into it. A GU being the thinnest, I expected to get the most moldable coverage, but then also to be the least protective, which was my experience in prior tests. Ohora's kind of in the middle, so it seems to strike a fair balance between stretchiness and moldability, but then also in longevity and protection. And then of course, topping it on the thick side, you have Zinipin, which is extremely thick, cures very, very hard, extremely protective if you get a good application out of it, but it's gonna be, less, well, I wouldn't say flexible, but it's less malleable. It's harder to stretch, and then the other 2 fit in there in the middle somewhere. So I would say that from an application perspective, that played out accurately. I would say that, my experience in applying those matched up with those expectations. Let's talk a little bit about the quality of the manicure. Going into the test, I felt that Ohora, Zinipin, and GU looked the best. They looked the most professional, the least like stickers. Going through the week, I really felt like Zinipin and Ohora maintained that aesthetic. They just looked fantastic throughout the week. I do want to point out that throughout the application process, I noticed, especially on the thinner stickers, some minor wrinkling and things like that bothered me. I mentioned a couple of times, oh, maybe top coat will cover this, or when it was all said and done and they were all on, the only strip that I noticed wrinkling or some sort of an imperfection in really was the UUU, which had that weird kind of wrinkle on the side. All the rest of them, you couldn't really tell that there was ever an issue in the process of putting it on. So that's a testament to you are using a top coat that just kind of fixes all those issues. So I think that's important to note. Generally speaking, they all looked pretty good. The UU was wonky. I think it was just a weird failed application. So let's go take a look at what I've been through for the past week and the progression of how these nails wore, and I'll meet you on the back side. UUUUU is lifting, which is really disappointing because it's barely been 24 hours. This one kind of went on a little bit weird. But I'm really disappointed in that. Okay, here's the Zinipin, not lifting at all. The GU, totally not lifting. The Ohora, not lifting. Dashing Diva, this one is Zinipin, totally not lifting at all. GU, not lifting. This one is UUUUU, not lifting, so this one's okay. This is the Ohora, so not lifting. Go look at the tips. I did notice that this GU is lifted in the corner here. You see that? Look. So that's disappointing. And of course, this is my pointer finger. This is the one that I use more probably on this hand. So far, I've got the UUUUU and the edge-U are lifting at some place. All right, now I'm gonna do the hair test. UUUUU, totally snagging the hair, super bad. The right hand, Dashing Diva not catching, Zinipin not catching, GU not catching, UUU not catching. Yeah, the thumb on Ohora might be snagging a tiny bit like it just started. So that's where we are. These two are down. Pretty much everything else is fine. This one is snagging. Everything else is not snagging. Today is day 2, Tuesday. Did the hair test, and so far really just these two nails, the Dashing Diva and the UUUUU, are catching on my right hand as of day 2. It's pretty much just the UUUUU that is catching on the right hand. I haven't really noticed any additional new lifting at the cuticles that I haven't already mentioned. The UUUUU one is still hanging on here. Everything else is pretty much the same, but I will say that on the tips, I have noticed this one is starting to lift here, right there. GU is still lifting in the corner, obviously, but it doesn't really look like it's gotten much worse. So then, you know, on this side, I did notice that this GU is just starting to lift as well. So the GU are both lifting at the tips on one corner. So it's just this corner here that it's just like completely not sticking at all. It's a bummer. The UUU here is starting to lift also. So it seems like I have lifting on the tips for both the GU and the UUUU on both hands. But you know what? Actually, I just noticed this right in this moment. It looks like I have a little crack here on the UUUU. That's my first crack of all the nails. So UUUU is just not performing well to me at all. I'm just having all kinds of issues with it. On this hand, otherwise, everything else is pretty solid, and I will come back tomorrow with another update for you. Today is the end of day 3. These two are catching hair a lot. This one is really testing me. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I might have to take it off and replace it. It's just like so bad. I mean, it's literally, I blew out my hair this morning and I seriously swore more times than I'd like to admit. You can see, like straight down the nail. So it's just really not adhered well. It's lifting right here. It's amazing that it's even still holding on, to be honest with you. So this one that was lifted, it's still lifted in that same spot, but it hasn't really gotten any worse. As you can see, it kind of bubbles up. So I've had no lifting yet on the Ohora Zinipin and just that one corner on the GU. Now on this one, at the cuticle, the right hand is decent, but I am having pretty significant lifting on this UUUU in the tips, both here. You can see I just like stick my finger in there so easily. My nail should not be happening. And then this GU one is like, look at this, you guys. You see that? It's bad. It's really bad. So Ohora is starting to lift a little bit in the corner here. If I like try, I can like wedge something in there. So anyway, that's my update. I will check back in tomorrow, and I don't know, I might have to work on replacing this one, and I might have to work on replacing this one. It's morning, day 4, guys, and the hair struggle is real with this UUUU. I mean, it's like ripping out my hair hourly. I'm not sure if it's gonna survive the entire test. I might have to replace it. As you can see, there's like a little crack here too, which is why I was kind of wanting to leave it. I wanted to see how it continued to wear, but so frustrating. This is where I am on day 5. Over here, this GU is like completely lifted now, and some like weird mark got underneath there, like lint or something, I don't know, and I can't get it out. That nail's like donezo. From a just purely cosmetic perspective, the rest of them on the left hand look okay. I mean, we know this one is like seriously driving me crazy. This hand though, on the other hand, I guess pun intended. Look at this. Look at this GU, you guys. It completely lifted here, all the way half up, ripped. I have a chip here. I think this one's down for the count. The rest of them look decent. The Ohora on this one is starting to lift in the corners. Like, you can see that. That's pretty typical for me with Ohora because of the deep curve on my nails. The UUUU is pretty well attached at the tip on both of them. So the GU is obviously lifting at the tips on both of them. The Zinipin is like seriously attached on both of them. It's like not coming off. I'm actually a little worried I'm gonna like really have to pry it off, especially since I use no primer. And then the Dashing Diva is actually also pretty well adhered at the tips on both of them. The Ohora on this one, That's attached on that side. This one's starting to lift, just like the other hand. I don't know if it's hard to see that. I had an idea. I have these extensions. I was like, why don't we do the hair test on camera? I'm gonna try to capture this the best that I can. Let's see how this goes, okay? So for the Dashing Diva, not really catching too bad. Like I could make it catch, but generally speaking, if you're just like running your hands through your hair quickly, it's not catching. All right, Zinipin, not catching. It's pretty good. Zinipin's pretty good. I've actually been pretty impressed with the Zinipin because didn't know acetone trick. I think it's obvious that this one's gonna catch because it's like literally open there. So let's do the U on the right hand, which is like the better application. U is not catching. And then the Ohora is catching a little bit. There, see? It's like the corners are grabbing it. On this hand, we've got the Dashing Diva. It's catching. You can see that, right? It is snagging. And I do feel that one. I think I said that a couple days ago. I'm noticing it. Okay, so the U obviously is like ridiculously catching because it's like completely exposed in there. Not even like worthwhile test, obviously. It's gonna do that. Okay, the Zinipin on the left hand. It's not, I mean, it looks like it's catching because of the depth of the dome, but it's not actually snagging. It's smooth. So I'd say the Zinipin on this one is good too. So the Zinipin on both hands is good. This is the Agiu. Oh, the Agiu is catching. You see that? Look at that, see? So Agiu is not good. And then the Ohora, it's really only catching in the corners. I don't think that one would bother me like actually in my hair, pulling it through. Well, maybe. Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of an edge there. Not horrible. So I'd say, you know, technically both the Ohoras are snagging the hair a little bit, but not too bad. The Agius are horrible with the hair catching on this batch. The Zinipin are both good so far on the hair catching. They're doing the least amount of hair catching. The U, this one's great for hair catching and this one's not. So I just think this was probably a faulty application. I think maybe when I stretched this to make it fit, it somehow like messed with the adhesive and then just, you know, never got a good hold and caused the entire thing to just come apart in there. So, you know, say 50-50, right? This one's great for hair catching, this one's not. And then the Dashing Diva, this one's good, this one's catching a little bit. So overall, I'd say so far, Zinipin and Dashing Diva are really kind of doing the best in all categories. That's it, rounding out day 5. So I'm gonna do this again. You guys, today is day 7 and it's a miracle that I survived this long, but these have to come off today. I mean, look at this, Geo, horrible. Yeah, this you done, look at the hair. Can't do it anymore, just can't. The Ohora's lifting. See that? The only ones that aren't lifting really at all, I mean, Zinipin's on there solidly and Dashing Diva's on there solidly on these hands. This hand, on the other hand, yeah, what a hot mess. Ohora's lifting here. It's catching constantly. Agiu's done. You just like kind of fell apart 2 days ago, started, and then got worse yesterday. Zinipin is like pretty solidly on there. I can make it come apart if I want to here. A little bit. That's typical though for me with all these. So with the Ohora lifting here, that's usually what I see by this time because my nails are so deeply curved. And the same thing with the Dashing Diva with the Zinipin. Those are both good on both hands. So that's my last final day update. So I just finished blowing out my hair and this Agiu on here is practically, I don't know if you can really see it. It's like barely hanging on by a string here at the cuticle. It's so bad. It's so barely hanging on. And same thing with this one, and it's cracked here. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that's over. I cannot wait for these to come off. This is what my nails look like. I've actually just completed day 7, so I'm technically starting day 8 right now. It has been 7 days times 24 hours. This is where I am. As you can see, this Agiu is just gone. As I continued to get ready, I mean, it was hanging on by a thread. I don't even know where it went. I haven't even found it. So for all I know, it's buried back in my hair. But this is the only one that I technically completely lost, and I don't even know when I did it. So I don't know. I'm sure I'll find it. My husband will probably find it is what's going to happen and be grossed out. As you know, this one has been driving me batty since pretty much the beginning. It's amazing that it even stayed on considering how badly it lifted. So I guess maybe credit to you for that, because it was totally secure pretty much at the tip the entire time. But this I mean, look at this. I think it was like on day 4 or 5, this one broke, and then last night this one broke, and then, I mean, it's just completely lifted. Like, you see that? This one is like blatantly obvious, also bad. So this one is also the Agiu. The part that's still attached is still pretty well attached. You can see kind of where the bubble is. So those are those two brands that pretty much had issues on both hands. So then on the Ohora, this one has been lifting for a couple days, and now it's like completely detached on this whole half. You can kind of see that bubble right there. There's like a line right here. So that one's donezo. And then this one has not really been bothering me much, but it also did the same thing. Now, again, this is typical for me with my very curved nail beds. By day 7, Ohoras are usually lifting on the sides. So that is not anything out of the ordinary. But yeah, you can kind of see the bubble here too, right? Like going across the top here. So Dashing Diva are like completely adhered. They're on there. In fact, I'm a little worried about what's gonna be left when I take this one off. And then same thing with the Zinipin. I mean, the Zinipin is legit on there. These two, I think, look the best still. With Ohora still look good with, you know, with the exception of that bubble. I don't know. I kind of feel like as far as just overall wear goes, Zinipin and Dashing Diva are the winners, because I'm gonna have to pry these guys off. I didn't have any chips, didn't have any lifting. So there you have it. My first experience with Dashing Diva was not great. This is definitely better. So that's good to know. So let's take these off and let's see what we're left with. I didn't want to use the Ohora remover since that might give Ohora some sort of an advantage. So what I have here is my own concoction of 1 part fractionated coconut oil and 1 part acetone. I'm gonna go extra ginger on this removal since I don't have any primer. Removing Zinipin feels like it's gonna rip your entire nail off. They're so hard. I never have though. Never actually caused damage by using Zinipin, but it just feels like that. Like, oh God, the whole thing's gonna rip off. And it's loose. Okay, so it looks like we've got no adhesive really on this one. Got some adhesive left over here. Scrub these in the sink probably. Okay, so here's that U that was like hanging on by a thread all freaking week. And it's all, look at that, look how dirty it is because it's been open all this time. God, I hope I don't get a fungus. Okay, this Dashing Diva, I don't even know like where to start with it. Maybe that's a good spot right there. Because it's just like, it's attached. It's clanging. Please don't hurt my nail. Please don't hurt my nail. Please, Dashing Diva, give these to me. Ooh. I feel like I can breathe a little bit. Man, it is like really stuck on there in that spot that it's still attached. All right, Zinipin. Zinipin just holds on. There it goes. So as you can see, adhesive layer is left. It comes off pretty easily there. Have to scrape it off or wash it probably with my nail brush maybe. Okay, they're all off. All right, so I'm gonna go wash my hands so that I can see what they look like once I get all the oil off. I'll be right back. So this is kind of what I'm left with here. So it looks like the Ohoras have a little bit of damage. For me, I really just need the primer to avoid this from happening. This is not a big deal, it'll buff off, but that's unfortunate. These were the Agiu nails. All that I have is that little tiny scuff. That's pretty good. So I feel pretty good about that. This one has, I kind of had to force it off, right? A tiny bit, a little lifting. So that's pretty good. The I feel like the majority of this damage here on the tip I already had. So that's not new, and that looks pretty good. And then on this side, yeah, it's just a couple little marks where I forced off the nail. Okay, so the Zinipin, there's no damage, none at all, actually on the nail, thank God, because even, like, I'm serious, when you take them off, it feels like it's going to be damaged. But those look really good. There was a little bit of adhesive residue left over, which I just gave them a quick swipe of acetone when I was washing my hands, and that pulled off anything else remaining that the nail brush didn't get. The adhesive thing is like kind of a little annoying, but at least it's not damaged. So, okay, and then on the Dashing Diva, there's a little bit of damage there. Nothing major, but this kind of damage will build up over time. So for me, I gotta have the primer on the Ohora. I think the problems that I had with the Dashing Diva the first time were because I used the primer. So maybe their product is better for that. So I don't really know, outside of recommending somebody try their primer, how to avoid this damage that will definitely build up over time. And then same kind of damage as Zinipin. I mean, the difference here is that this one lifted, and anytime you have lifting, you're subjecting the nail to tension through everyday wear and pulling things, you know, things catching on it and stuff. So obviously that's not good, and that's gonna, you know, potentially cause more damage. Let me know in the comments below if you've been successful with stretching Obviously I wasn't. It did not work out for me. So I'll probably try again with the another time. So took one for the team here for you guys, but I was happy to do it, and I'm happy to report that I didn't have any like major damage, and I didn't really have any major any breakage or anything like that. We survived. I was thinking of you guys the entire time, so you helped get me through it. Okay guys, so there you have it. I really was going crazy with that I can't even believe I was able to psychologically keep that thing on. I really didn't want to take it off because I was like, I just want to see how this thing is gonna hold up. Maybe it's not the most accurate representation because obviously a strip that's not fully adhered is gonna, you know, take tension differently and, you know, react differently to different tests it's put through. But now we know, right? I nursed that thing through the entire week. Up to the last day, it was hanging on. It was not ready to let go. Thank God I, at least so far, haven't noticed that I've gotten a fungus or something from water getting in there in that huge cavern. I kind of expected Agiu to do some early lifting. You really surprised me. Because it's made by the same manufacturer as Zinipin, I really expected to just love it because I love Zinipin so much. And I was really surprised by my results with that. You know, it pretty much failed like miserably on both hands. And Agiu also failed pretty miserably. You know, at least I didn't break any nails. I was really actually pretty surprised by Dashing Diva. My first little mini test that I did with them wasn't great, and these guys did not want to go. They were holding on for dear life. I was really impressed overall. You know, the Ohora was kind of what I expected, but Zinipin, This is a big part of why I really love this brand. It just looked great up to the very end. Let's just summarize, okay? So from a lifting perspective, a GU lifted, UU obviously lifted. Ohora lifted towards the end. The rest were good. Both 5 stars for Dashing Diva and Zinipin. The hair test, obviously UU was snagging hair left and right. A GU was snagging hair a little bit. Obviously once it started getting like chips, then that's gonna happen. I had a tiny bit of snagging on a part of Dashing Diva and a tiny bit of snagging on a part of Ohora, but they really held out pretty long, so they did pretty well with the hair snagging test. Zinipin never had any hair snagging whatsoever on Zinipin. So the longevity piece, we got chips on a GU and UU on my right hand. They both chipped, but only on one hand, and the left hand held up pretty well. And I'm right-handed, so maybe that shouldn't be a huge surprise. And then there's the removal. Ohora was the most disappointing, I feel like, on removal, and I mean, they have countered that by coming out with a primer, which I admittedly did not use on this test. So if you don't use the primer and you have a nail composition like mine, then maybe that's to be expected. And of course, I always use the primer for this reason. Ohora failed the damage test, and Dashing Diva didn't perform super great on the damage test either. Zinipin was the clear winner here on flat out removal damage, but Zinipin did leave that like annoying adhesive residue. I'd rather deal with trying to get the adhesive residue off and being annoyed about that than like having damage that is irreversible to my nails. So I mean, I guess there's that, but that is just something else to consider. So this is what I will say about all of this. If you are somebody who has very wide nails and you have to stretch the largest Ohora strip to fit your thumb, Zinipin is probably not the best option for you. And I would say probably even you. They're probably not gonna be stretchy enough to fulfill your needs in getting the fit right. If your nails are larger, then a thinner sticker is probably better for you, and a GU might be a good option. Somebody who has a wider nail is obviously going to be in that place of having to maybe sacrifice protection and strength for a good fit. But on the other hand, you have Dashing Diva Glaze, which has wider sizes, and that's great, but then you're gonna always use the fitted size that works for your nail. You're not gonna stretch them because they're not stretchy, and you know, you're not gonna get a ton of uses out of each box. It's just something that, you know, you're going to accommodate for, and you unfortunately sacrifice for fit, especially when a lot of these stickers are sized for Asian fingers. I mean that in the best way. They have nice dainty fingers, and a lot of Americans, we just don't. For me, the fit of Zinipin and Ohora, which is the same, and also a GU, is fine. It works great. I don't have to stretch it. I do stretch Ohora for, you know, application and to get have less work to do with the acetone trick, but it seems like with Zinipin, I don't even have to do the acetone trick. And I mean, I was doing it with Zinipin for the first few sets that I did because I assumed you'd have to since it was thicker, but the dome really makes it so that you don't have to do that, and that's great. So, you know, maybe just skip the acetone trick altogether, and that's what I'll say about that. So, you know, for me, I feel like in my personal experience and for what I am looking for, Zinipin was the clear winner of the wear test. You know, Ohora performed very, very well and performed how I expected it to, which is what's basically led me to wear it for the past like 10 months straight, and I'm not turning my back on Ohora at all. I do love Zinipin's designs. I think I'm gonna have to do a little bit more work with UUU, but like I said, any of these brands, there's a learning curve, and I'm willing to give it a fair shot. For now, personally, I'll probably just stick with Zinipin and Ohora for the majority of my needs, and maybe an occasional Dashing Diva. I did like the fact that the Dashing Diva cured surprisingly hard, and basically the same as Ohora. So, but I do feel a little bit wasteful in the fact that you can't really use all the stickers since you can't stretch them. So the 5 brand wear test is complete. I'm so happy that I was able to bring this information to you. Let me know your thoughts about these results. And I also want to know, I'm taking a poll. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys want to see next? Would you prefer to see a Zinipin application tutorial or an Ohora Frankenstein method tutorial where I take 2 pinky strips and meld them together on one larger nail? Okay, so let me know what you want to see next. And thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my channel to keep the semi-cured gel nail tips and tricks coming. And of course, if you're new to Ohora or any semi-cured gel nail strips, make sure to check out my other tutorials for tips and tricks on how to get the best application, longevity, and performance out of your gel nail sets. Thanks for your support. Thanks for watching, and see you guys soon. When is the blooper reel? It's kind of, in my opinion, Apollo, hey, go. No. Ugh, cats. And my daughter just got home. Apollo, to keep the Ohora tip.